Hey guys, welcome. Today we are talking about lifestyle and how certain lifestyle choices can lead to a lot of health problems later in the future. Some of the examples that we were talking about was if we don't exercise, we can become at risk for obesity, which can further lead to a lot of cardiovascular diseases or diabetes. Another poor lifestyle choice is the use of drugs like tobacco, which contains nicotine. This can lead to lung diseases or even lung cancer. Today, for our guided practice activity, we are going to try and answer these questions right over here with the means of a small chart that is given to us to practice using data to answer some questions. Now, let's see. The question is, the point of this activity is that we have to use this infograph, which is a graph that contains a lot of information, to answer the questions. And the topic of this infograph is to understand where prescription drugs are typically obtained from and how that eventually leads to substance abuse problems in people. Now, first question is, where are the majority of prescription drugs obtained? As you can see, this is a pie chart for all the prescription drugs and how they're obtained. Now, the majority, as you can see, is the one that's more than 54%. And as we can see, the over here, it is labeled 54.2% from friend or relative. So that's what we are going to type over here. There we go. Let's look at the second question. Are the majority paid for, stolen, or free? Now, if you're looking at the whole pie chart, we would say that it's free, right? From friend or relative. But if you're looking at just this 54.2%, we can see that only 5.5% is actually free. The rest of it comes from a doctor or from friends or relatives, but it was bought. It also comes from the internet. However, because the 54.2% is free, I'm going to say that it is free. Let's look at the next question. Of the 54.2% of prescription drugs, what percent comes from one doctor? Now, we are talking about only the 54.2%. We are not talking about the 100% of the population that are getting these prescription drugs. We're only talking about this particular half, the 54%. Now, among these, they want to know how many comes or is obtained from one doctor. As you can see, there's only one label here that says that it comes from one doctor. There's one that says more than one doctor, but clearly we're not interested in that. We are interested in this population, which is 81.6%. So that's what I'm going to write, 81.6%. Now, let's move on to the next activity. Over here, what we see is 12 reasons teenagers use prescription drugs, and it gives us 12 reasons and in percentages over here. Okay, now let's try and answer questions 4 through 7 using this information. What is the major reason, which is by the largest percent, that teenagers use prescription drugs? We are looking for the largest percent, and clearly the largest percent over here is 62%. It is seen decreasing from here to the bottom, so we're going to go with this one. And when we look at this, it says that the reason why they use or why they think about prescription drugs is because it is easy to get from parents' medicine cabinets. So that's what I'm going to write here. Okay, now let's go to the next question. What do 51% teenagers think about prescription drugs? Now, clearly the 51% that we're looking for is this bottle right here. What do they think about it? They're not illegal drugs, okay? So they think that it's not illegal drugs. However, this is what I'm going to tell you guys. Just because you can obtain prescription drugs from a medicine cabinet or from your friends, that does not mean that its use is not illegal. Prescription drugs are given to certain people by certified professionals to treat disorders or to treat diseases. So, using drugs that you don't need and certainly abusing them is definitely illegal. It is not true that if you can obtain it from somewhere, it's definitely legal. That is not true. That is a misconception. All right, now let's move on to the next question. About what percent of teens think prescription drugs are easy to get through other people's prescription? That is, Polly can get it from Peter because he has a prescription. Okay, now let's look here. Now, when looking for how easy it is to get through other people's prescriptions, I see it right over here at 50% easy to get through other people's prescriptions. So I'm going to write that 50% of teenagers think that it's easy to get through other people's prescription. Do you believe that peer pressure has an influence on the abuse of prescription drugs? Explain why or why not using the percentages from the chart. If you guys are not aware, peer pressure is when if your peers or your friends are using prescription drugs and you fall under that pressure and you also want to conform to that, and just because they are doing it, you feel like you have to do it. Well, first thing, that is not true. Just because they're doing it, it's not necessary that you should do it. You should always put your health first. But if we have to answer this question looking at the percentages in the chart, I can see over here at 33% it says that less shame is attached to using. So clearly that has something to do with peer pressure. Maybe somebody is using it to look cool in front of their friends, to not be shamed for not using it. So 33% of teenagers think that the use of prescription drugs is less shameful than simply not using it. Now, so using that information, do you believe that peer pressure has an influence on prescription drugs? I would say that yes, because 33% is definitely not a small number. Peer pressure definitely does have an influence on prescription drugs. Now, I am not going to write down the answer for this one. It is up to you to answer this question. Tell me why you think it does or why you think it doesn't. I would say that it does because having a social group can definitely affect or influence your behavior, and that's why I'm gonna say yes. But again, if you say no, please explain your answer. And that's all we have for today. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask away, and I will get back to you as soon as possible. I will see you guys later. Bye.